The opinions of our panelists do not necessarily reflect those of Bang Zoom Entertainment or Revision3.com. This episode of Anime TV is brought to you by Netflix and GoDaddy.com.
Yo! It's the Anime TV men's episode! I'm Jonathan Mesa.
I'm Christina V.
Yeah, that's right. It's all men today. We're going to be meeting up with Bailey in Japan. She's going to be reviewing Detroit Metal City, Metalocalypse. Move out of the way.
And we're going to review Grid Daughters of Mnemosyne.
I taught her that. Anime TV, go!
Anime TV, go!
Welcome to another exciting HEMA segment. HEMA means free time, i.e. what you've been doing when you have nothing to do.
And our manly men next door are going to tell you what they've been reading, watching, and playing. What have you been doing with your HEMA?
Oh, manly things. I've been lifting weights, scratching my butt, and drinking beer.
That sounds pretty manly to me.
I'm a man.
Let's go check it out.
All right, Johnny and Christina, HEMA. Nick, what are you doing in your free time?
In between watching the stuff for the show, I've been trying to find my new gig, and so I've been looking at some stuff that I didn't know what they were. So Ladies vs. Butlers, I checked that out, and just to see what it was. You never know. You never know. I've been surprised by many an anime that I was like, the title does not sound appealing to me, but let me check it out. That was not my jam. Then I tried Kiss and Sis. Have you guys seen this?
That sounds like pure incest
right
it's,
there. Yeah.
Well, it's not really incestual because it's a story about a junior high school guy and his twin sisters that are older than he is, but they're stepsisters. So it's actually okay.
Like Please Twins, almost?
But what's not okay is that it's they all live together. So it's kind of like they're all waking up in the same bed, and it's very, I felt filthy. I felt filthy after watching that.
It's like harem incest.
Yeah, it's like,
not really.
And yeah, it's harem romance slash, just, oh man, like there's a whole sequence where they're he's taking a bath, of course, there's all these like ridiculous predicaments that they're put in, and one is where he's in the bathtub, and of course the one girl comes in and she wants to take a bath, and she's totally naked, and the other girl comes in, and they get jealous of each other because they're all trying to like one up to get his one up.
Are they trying to are all three of them trying to turn each other on and bet each other?
No, he's not. The two girls are like in competition with each other to try to get his affection, so to speak. And it's very like innocent, like, oh, what happens if I put my hand here? Oh yeah, like it just, come on now, like it's silly. There's a part where she's sitting on his face and she keeps falling and she keeps slipping on the water in the bathtub. And I mean, what made me feel dirty was that they were like junior high, the high school level, and I was like, this is kind of, I'm a dirty bird.
Like a smuttier version of Please Twins.
It's filthy, I thought.
Cage, what are you doing?
I've been playing Mass Effect 2, and it's finally out, and I got my copy, and this is like my third playthrough already. Did like the college guy thing and like spent 3 days in a row just playing the game.
All right, well, it's released by BioWare.
It's released by BioWare, who's, they're really famous for really great storylines. I love the game, but I have developed a couple problems with it. First of all, I can't complain about the story because it's BioWare and it's great, but here's the thing. It seems to me that they've forgotten that their big flagship, Mass Effect, is also an RPG, along with the shooter elements that they've put into it. If you play the first one, you remember that you get loot, you get cash, you get all this, you get a lot of character customization, like you do with, your traditional RPGs.
Like Dragon Age.
Like Dragon Age, yeah, which is great. This one, they've taken out the loot system. They've revamped the leveling and loot system. Your character customization has been really downgraded. It's been really simplified.
So what kind of choices do you get to make? Like,
your options are a lot less. Like, they've gotten rid of the whole charm and intimidate things. So now, instead of grinding for experience, you're literally grinding for Paragon or Renegade points. Like,
so they're the only points that stay throughout the rest of the game.
No, here's the thing. Once you finish the game, those points don't transfer over. So you have a limited amount of options in the game to get the amount of points you need, which forces you to either pick the extreme high or extreme low in options. The game punishes you for choosing the middle ground.
Wow,
It
really?
punishes you
couldn't-
for doing it.
Which is funny because in Dragon Age, there's this whole little subplot where you can literally double deal up to the very last second.
You can't do that in Mass Effect, or else because at the end there's plot choices that require very high Paragon or very high Renegade,
Right.
and you literally just cannot do it if you pussyfoot around.
Right.
You just can't. You can't unlock certain things, or you can't save certain members of your party, etc., etc.
Alright.
Shake
Well,
your fist.
Yeah.
you've played through this a few times, and Talia is my
Tali's
favorite.
fantastic.
So, what's it like? She's a romance. So
Right.
what's it like?
Spoiler. You can romance Tali in this, and spoiler again, no, you don't get to see her face. Which is funny because I think the male shepherd of this game gets screwed out of almost all the good romances. Because what are your options? You got Tali or Tali and two crazy bitches. You got two crazy bitches on the side and one crew member who will lay anything that she sees.
All right. On a side, his Mass Effect avatar looks picture perfect for Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
It's weird seeing Bruce Willis in this, and it's really weird because, like, is Bruce Willis doing that alien chick?
Hells yeah, he is.
And Live Free or Die Hard, John McClane, Bruce Willis.
That's what I imagined. That's what I imagined.
Not the
There is
hair.
no other. Is there any other?
Nah.
All right, okay. Well, my HEMA has been working for the last few weeks on my AMVs. Fanime's coming in about 8 weeks. It's a pretty cool con. I'm going to be there. Hope to see a lot of you guys there. But I've been hitting roadblock and roadblock and roadblock, so I decided to stop it real quick and get some ideas. So I've been going to animemusicvideos.org. That's a really cool site. You can download AMVs from any type of creator. You can upload, you can share it, and there's always contests going around, so it's always fun. So I did that looking for ideas. Didn't quite work. So I've been reading the forums, and I've been getting a lot of posts about some of the anime recommendations. I've been getting to that. I will be getting to that. But so far, it's been nothing but roadblock, roadblock, roadblock. Listening to Colin's voice for 12 hours straight is ridiculous.
Colin?
Yeah, she's actually in my AMV. It's a Nana anime that I'm sure Tracy's probably going to like. So is Melee. It's called She's a Girl.
Colin sang it for you?
Yeah, she sang a couple years ago. I just took it
that's
without
cool.
her permission. Yeah.
Without her permission.
Without her permission.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
That's how AMVs work nowadays.
Okay.
You gotta stop stealing things from women, dude.
Aw, dog, come on. This is what I like to do sometimes.
Dude, things are piling up. You're gonna get arrested.
You're right. Well, enough about me, dogs. Johnny, Christina, back to you.
Coming up next, Bailey's big in Japan. She's gonna check out Detroit Metal City. So come back for that.
Thanks to Netflix for sponsoring this episode of Anime TV. With Netflix, you can rent over 90,000 titles online, including lots of Blu-ray titles, with free shipping both ways to your home. They now have over 40 shipping centers, so almost all deliveries happen in just one business day. The Netflix plans start from $4.99. As a new member, you can get a no-risk free trial membership. Check it out at www.netflix.com/anime.
Now it's time for Bailey's Big in Japan. Bailey is an Anime TV panelist, and she is in Japan teaching English.
She's going to be reviewing Detroit Metal City. Not like Metalocalypse. This is about a boy who sings love songs during the day and rocks out by night. Check it out.
Okay, so today we're going to review Detroit Metal City, or DMC. Detroit Metal City is the name of a hardcore death metal band. The lead singer, Negishi-kun, is not exactly a death metal kind of guy. He sort of accidentally got this job. And I mean, their songs are about like violence and hate and rape. And the music he really wants to make is sweet, teeny bopper, Jonas Brothers kind of music. So it's kind of all about, does he stay in the band? Does he do his own thing? And on top of it all, there's a girl he really likes named Aizawa who hates Detroit Metal City. Doesn't know he's in the band, hates that, but loves his other music. Okay, let's talk about the characters in Detroit Metal City. First of all, awesome. there's really not a whole lot bad I'm gonna say about this show. Negishi-kun, he's actually played by 2 separate voice actors when he's just normal Negishi-kun and when he's Krauser-san, the leader of the death metal band. So I thought both voice acting performances were excellent in that sense. I especially really liked his just normal day persona. The characters in the band are awesome. They're all 3 of them very different and a little creepy at times. You even get to know some of their main fans in the show. They're not named, you don't really see them that much, but they're always at every concert, so you kind of get to know them a little bit too. I think the character standout of the entire show though is their record label manager. She is the best. Now the show though is not for the weak of heart when it comes to language, and anyone who knows me knows that I love my foul language, but the death metal band record label woman has what is considered the best vocabulary ever in my book. And in it, she keeps switching between Japanese and English. She tends to curse in English, which is kind of funnier. So the characters are all pretty well developed, kind of a small group of characters, but they're all really, really awesome. Okay, let's talk about the storyline for Detroit Metal City. Now this show actually came out in 2008 in Japan. It started as a manga. The manga was hugely successful, and what you watch is actually a 12-episode OAV series. So, you know, it's kind of 2 small stories per episode. The episodes are also only 13 minutes long, so if you really like the show like I did, then you might marathon them all in one day. But they're excellent. And what's fun about them being 2 small stories per episode is that it never gets boring. There's no slowness to this show at all. It clips along at a good pace. You don't know where it's gonna go and how the legend of Krauser-san is going to grow this week. That's why it's awesome. I also highly, highly, highly recommend the live action movie that was also made in 2008. It's basically the same story as the anime retold in movie form, but the best part about it is that Gene Simmons makes a cameo in it. So, I mean, you can't beat it. It's a movie with Gene Simmons. Now, the name Detroit Metal City actually comes from the Kiss song Detroit Rock City. So, obviously the creator, big Kiss fan, and got Gene Simmons in the movie. Not the best of actor, though. I'm just gonna warn you on that one. I think in general, if you don't like foul language or foul situations, this probably won't be the show for you. But if you really enjoy watching someone dressed in like clown makeup and a giant costume dry hump Tokyo Tower, then best show ever. So the plot is pretty simple. I mean, you assume you kind of can figure out what it is. He's in this band he doesn't want to be in, and everyone's kind of crazy around him. But what I think is really cool about the show is that Negishi-kun as Krauser is the one crazy side of the spectrum, but Negishi-kun just normal is the other side of that spectrum. And both personalities of his are crazy. And both of them aren't necessarily people you want to be friends with. It's like, how does he find that middle ground to be really nerdy and really cool at the same time? So I like that, him trying to figure it out. It's pretty fun. So my final score for Detroit Metal City is a 9.5 out of 10. That's almost probably the highest score I will ever give something. I loved this show. It doesn't get boring, lots and lots of bad language, crazy music. You can't go wrong, seriously. But I want to know what you guys think about Detroit Metal City. So please go to the website listed on your screen to let me know if you love it, if you hate it, if you want to see more of it like I do, and you know, general thoughts and comments. I cannot wait to hear from you.
Coming up next, our men review a seinen title called Rin, Daughters of Mnemosyne.
What's that mean?
Seinen?
Yeah.
It means targeted for men. Don't hurt yourself.
Web hosting from GoDaddy.com includes 99.9% uptime, 24/7 support, and free access to Hosting Connection. The place to install over 30 free applications sure to help you get the most from your hosting plan and website. For 10% off your order, just punch in the code ATV8.
This week's title is called Rin, Daughters of Mnemosyne.
Now, it may sound girly.
It says daughters.
Yeah, and Reen, you know, but it's not.
It's not!
No.
No, it's interesting. The main character is an immortal detective. It's interesting to see how many times they kill her and
Oh,
how
yeah.
many ways they find to kill the main
Yeah,
character.
blowing her up, shoving things in her orifices. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a manly anime. It's
It
got
really is.
blood and guts and mayhem and boobs and sex and boobs and boobs and sex and boobs.
Let's
and
go to the
boobs
clip.
And boobs.
Just what have you gotten yourself into this time?
Good question. To be honest with you, I'm not really sure. I'll do my best to explain. Just by chance, one of these time fruits will come into contact with a person, enter their body, and that person is unknowingly made immortal. Shut up.
I heard you'd be hard to kill, but until now, you don't get it. I can't die. Not anymore.
Oh, come on. Vodka means water in Russian, you know.
Ren. What can be said about it? Ren is an anime that definitely is not for kids. It has a lot of blood, a lot of nudity, and a lot of rape. Yeah, and a lot of rape. Ren is this normal everyday detective solving crimes from finding kittens to anything in between, the later thing I'm gonna get back to. You eventually find out she's an immortal, thanks to these things called time fruits given from the mystical tree Yggdrasil, the world tree. Basically, Ren is Painkiller Jane mixed with Norse mythology, mixed with
Other unpronounceable words like Mnemosyne.
Like Mnemosyne, yeah, exactly.
Is that how you say it? Mnemosyne?
And so before we go into this, glad it's just a guys because this thing is brutal. So, right off the bat, Nick, what did you think of Ren, Daughters Mnemosyne?
It definitely was eye-opening. I think a lot of times I was going like, oh, that just happened. And I do think that I got to be less shit that happened because I was like, oh, okay, well, what else can they possibly do to her? To mutilate, maim, kill, dismember, whatever. I mean, really, it gets to the point where it's like, it's over gratuitous in some places where normally when someone gets hacked a bit, you're like, oh, damn, but when they can come back to life, it's very Aeon Flux-ish how it keeps, reoccurring over and over again. You get desensitized towards it.
It is desensitizing, but I appreciate Aeon Flux for the fact that every time she dies because of her own mistakes.
Yeah.
Ren, the show literally starts off with the main character running from this girl clad in all tight black suit, and all of a sudden she's like, oh, she's our hero? Wait, no, Ren's our hero, she's on the cover.
Yeah, she's the stalker.
And then all of a sudden you see her get killed in the most glorious way, hanging off the side of a building.
Her arm was hanging.
Her arm hangs
her,
off and
her
just
arm
drops.
is lasting, like,
I think
like,
that's kind of
holy
funny.
shit. Yeah, it's really good.
I mean, it was kind of... we reviewed Bakuno before,
Right.
and it's reminiscent to that and the fact that there's immortals running around. It's not just her, there's other immortals running around too.
Right.
I had some issues with the writing. Hiroshi Onigi, he worked with Mikimoto and Kurosawa. Sure. Yeah, they all went to university together, and they worked on the Super Dimension Fortress Macross.
Oh,
and
yes.
He also worked on stuff like Towards Terra, Rasafan, Aquarian, which was one of my favorite animes that I saw last year.
Right.
And these are great stories, and I kind of wanted to know what happened. It's almost like they thought that the violence and the nudity was going to, be the vehicle to send this out, and everyone's like, yes, yes, yes. And I was like, there still has to be story to it. And
well, I liked the whole angle they're going with it. Remember, because it was being directed by Shigeru Ueda. He did Serial Experiments Lane, so there was going to be this drawn out idea of here's the surreal, here's the real. Like Ren, she herself doesn't consider herself human. She's been alive for over 1,000 years.
Right.
And so, I agree with you. Like, it should be more story there, but at the same time, like Serial Experiments Lane, they didn't really explain a lot.
Yeah, and I kind of hate that. I mean, it's not that... I know it's going to come together eventually, or else it's just going to ultimately stink.
Right.
But they do that, but still when they do, it's a small offering for what's been going on. There's mysterious phone calls, there's mysterious people, and there's a lot of mysterious people. It's kind of like everyone's mysterious, and it's like, you don't know, why is this person transforming? Why is this person melting into the ground? Why are people having wings spread out of their back?
Angels.
Yeah. I mean, along the lines, they explain this all, but for me, it was so confusing, and like I said, I was very much trying to get with it, and I just couldn't. I grasped at straws every single time I saw a character. I'm like, is this person immortal? Let's see if they die and come back. You know, it was one of those things where the storyline wasn't there for me like it has been presented out in the other works that he has written or scripted for a series.
There wasn't a lot of consistency too, because immortals literally heal from all their wounds. And so I think there's about episode 4, episode 5, in which we meet an immortal who needs a mechs to rock. I'm like, I'm in love with you because you're all decked out in the mechs, but it was like, wait.
I think her thing was that if you are immortal and you're sick...
Once you get the time fruit, no matter what condition your body is in, it stays that way forever.
I know I'm being nitpicky, but
so
it's attention to detail on that aspect. Well, one's a storyline point is that if you're wearing these clothes and I steal your time fruit, does everything disappear? Or do you disappear in the close day? Sometimes it happened, sometimes it didn't. As far as the animation, the cross, you'll see it if you know what I'm talking about and look for it. The thinness of the tie and the thickness of the actual graphic on the shirt, they were not in sync. The cross was bigger than the tie, and that was not, the cross was totally gone.
Cage, what did you think?
Honestly, I liked it a lot, and no, not just because of obvious reasons, but I saw the show a long time before I was exposed to the English dub, and I think one of the reasons is the great play on words of Mnemosyne. Yeah. It means memory in Norse, right? I mean, that's basically what the show is. It's Rin's memories built on each other episode by episode. I thought it was really clever how they pulled it off, because the entire series takes place over 65 years. And, they start the first 4 episodes, and I love it, with her in her office, and you see her phone evolve year after year.
It's like the 90s.
Right? It's like 90s phone, 2000s phone. It's great. The TNA aspect of it, the nudity, the gore, the,
right.
Whatever. It's one of those rare things for me where I can accept something like that and don't mind it enough to continue with the story.
Right.
Because I felt the real drive of the story was her relationship with the human beings, Mino, his family. Seeing him age and then seeing his kids and then seeing his kids' kids. It was really interesting to me, their relationship with Rin along the way. And also that detective, I forget his name, but he was
one who does martyrdom.
One of the best characters. I think one of the best written characters. He was comedic, the way he was trying to spy. Whatever, and it never really worked out. But you can tell that he was a really important character in Rin's life. There's only 3 real gripes I have with this show. One being Mimi. I felt she had no place in the show. I felt that she was a plot device. The only time she was ever important was when she needed rescuing or when she needed to hack something, and that was it. That was it for me. There was no other purpose that she served. But number 2, what I hated about the show is the bad guy. Apos, the hermaphrodite. Apos, I just felt like for a series with such a strong lead character, and I do think Rin is a strong lead character. It just had a very poorly written antagonist. I mean, he's an example of one of those bad guys where I'm evil because I am. I'm doing.
Well, he had an ulterior motive.
He wants to be the everlasting guardian of Yggdrasil, right?
The tree, yeah.
But his motives to do it is pretty much cut and dry. It's, I want to do it because I'm evil. He doesn't have any depth in it.
Screw the rules.
I think
money.
though,
yeah, pretty much.
I think though he was a constant force in Rin's life because of the fact that he kept wanting to kill the people around her because her memories. Yeah, but he ultimately wanted her. I mean, that was what I took from it. He ultimately wanted her. He wanted her memories.
But I just felt like we could have gotten a little bit more from him as a character.
That's fair because he was always morphing and like sliding into the ground at the last minute.
And you're not sure who he's coming from.
It's like, okay, and you finally found out what he wants, and you're like,
really? That's it?
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and I guess the third thing, which I am being nitpicky again, which because I really like the show, is I felt the show actually started slowing down after the 4th episode. I really enjoyed the episodic stories 1 through 4 of Rin and of the new age she's in. There's a different story every episode until 5 or 6 where they start really going into the Tree of Yggdrasil and the immortal thing.
Yeah.
And that stuff I could give a minimal shit about, you know what I'm saying? It really
It's also, I think, the format, because it's almost an hour long, so it's drawn out. It's like watching it's like watching a long version of a series that you're kind of like, this plot point is stretched out for 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I get it. You're immortal, whatever. I'd rather see them with their the everyday life stories that they were doing before that.
My gripes about this show come again. They're kind of nitpicky, but it comes to a logic point for me. She's been immortal for a very long time. We get this, and every time she gets killed, it's like I'm thinking she is falling for some very age-old tricks. When she's following Laura into the park and she beats her, all of a sudden the bomb comes out. You're like,
well, wait a minute. To be fair, she like summoned a C4 charge out of her chest.
You know what? If I lived for over 1,000 years,
you ain't never gonna see that stuff.
I would see that coming.
You ain't gonna
I would see that coming. And it's funny because we don't actually see a lot for this adult rage show. I mean, we see this sadist start to pierce her. Now, talking about piercing her. And then next thing you know, we're seeing her bloodied. We're seeing places where piercing should never go being pulled at, and you're like, oh, I'm feeling that. And all of a sudden, it's like, you know, you're tired of me. We see her get hit. We see her get hit from her perspective. Wakes up. She's good to go. Kinda. She gets the explosion, like I said earlier. All of a sudden, she's coming back. And the animation is very smooth and very clever. Because the most gory of the scenes always shadowed. And almost like a Wolverine thing, we see her ribcage close. We see all in shadow, and we see the horrified look on the person. It's uncanny. And when I'm following this, my gripes come in with so many humans have seen her do this, and she's always new to the fact that, oh, well, let me explain you my long and troubled story.
Yeah. Well, and it's a generation after generation because she's been around for so long.
And so it kind of kills me in the fact that she seems used to the idea of being an immortal, but at the same time not used to the idea of being a human when she started off as a human. And then my main gripe, which I think is a plot device, at the same time a need to get people naked, the whole idea behind the immortals and men, when time fruit comes, they absorb into women or men, doesn't really matter.
Or dogs, which was one of my things.
You can have immortal dogs.
I didn't get that.
So when it absorbs into a woman, she becomes immortal. She becomes resistant. She doesn't become resistant, she can feel her pain, like Painkiller Jane.
Like she will die.
And she will die, but she will come back. Man does it, he becomes this monstrous angel, red wings, and
he lives for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, but here's the funny part about it: when an immortal is next to an angel, they are overcome by lust, and the angel's whole bit is to eat and devour the immortals. And you're like, huh? So I'm assuming there's gonna be episodes where, oh, yep, she'd open her shirt, yes, come eat me.
I like that. I thought that was appropriate. I mean, they said this is what happens, and that's what happened.
I found Mezzo Forte, the original VAs, to be better with the whole sexual drive, because the whole idea is like, this world's twisted. There's sex everywhere. And you're like, oh, man, those are some graphic sex scenes, but they're few and far between. Mm-hmm. And so the sexual... Yeah, this felt almost like a Skinamax film, where you're like, hey, let's have sex for some reason.
For sex sake, just because we can. I'm with you on that.
Animation, I thought was good. Story, plot, a little wonky, but it still works for me. I like the show. But when I heard Colleen Clickenbeard's Ren, I'm like, she's sounding sexy, but I'm creeped out because this is American English, American language.
Yeah, she was the one actress in Baccano. She played Nice, and she was my least favorite in that show. It was awful in my opinion. She was the worst one. But she's the best in this, I think. She's the best. Sexy, yet underplayed, yet also like.
It's very natural acting she did.
Yes.
And let me just go ahead and wrap up. It's a great story aside from the sex, and maybe not even aside because of some of the sex. It's very adult. It doesn't treat you like a kid. It shows you things like it is, and I see very little problem with the show.
Same here. How about you, Nick? Final thoughts?
My final thoughts are some of the plot points are weird. They're a matter of convenience. The fact that she loses something so precious to her, gets spit out of a plane engine, and then finds that same thing. It was like the heart of the ocean moment in Titanic, where I found this thing that was lost 40 years ago, and I washed up on shore with the same thing. Then I fashioned it into a necklace, which I don't even know how that happens. She fashions a time fruit into a necklace and walks around with it. So for me, and also the fact that Mino happened to meet the crying girl on top of a building that happened to be the sister of the brother who they were looking for. It just seemed very convenient.
Yeah, like, we are not here for... The story's there, but we're not going to try too hard.
Right. I give it, like, 1.5 thumbs up as far as it being...
Okay.
And I love the concept. The concept was great.
To me, Ren is kind of not a signature anime, but it's one of those reminders that anime does something a little more than just pander to kids to a lot of adults' dismay. And to a lot of more mature people's joy, it actually gives you a little more of what you expect. I wouldn't call this the signature anime, but if someone were to make a commercial about adult anime, I'd put this up there with like Wicked City or like...
We can say Mezzo Forte again.
Mezzo Forte, yeah, there we go. It really does show us the whole range where anime can go and has gone and all that stuff. Again, if you love Serial Experiments Lane, if you love that type of build-up, it's just 6 hours. 6 quick hours, you're in, you experience the world, you're out, you're done. I think it's definitely worth a pickup. It's done by Funimation, a big surprise, a much pleasant surprise. There's nothing more to say about it except we all agree. Thumbs up.
Yeah, watch it.
Back to you, Johnny.
And boobs and boobs and boobs and boobs and boobs.
Are you done?
I'm done. Yeah. What do we have next week?
Next week is Eureka 7. Good night, sleep tight, young lovers.
Ooh, more boobs. All right, everyone, write to us on the forums. We want to know your thoughts, your reviews, and make sure to fan us on Facebook.
And follow us on Twitter.
I'm Jonathan Messa.
I'm Christina B.
AnimeTV!
Bailey, our Anime TV panelist, is in Japan teaching English.
She's going to be... What? Well, I've never done that in my life. AnimeTV. Go!
Nah.
Bang Zoom.